Welcome everybody to the Australian National Petanque Championships 2022, the Open Doubles Principal Final here at Nova Gardens Petanque Club. I'm Gary Hosey, and with me is Giselle Whittaker.
And very much looking forward to this game. We have, that is Nathan James, I believe, pointing out and playing with Craig Stewart, both local players, although Nathan is fly in, fly out. So both play for Eastern Suburbs Petanque Club in South Australia.
The other team is one of the most successful players in Australian petanque, a multiple champion at national level, has played for Australia, and that is Michael Lacasse, a fantastic player. And with him is Eric Leconte, who over the years has also played for Australia and I believe has won the Australian Championship as well. Eric lives in France for much of the year these days and gets to play a reasonable amount of quality petanque while he's there. Hits the front ball of his teammate, but unfortunately does not get the rebound onto the opponent's ball that he was hoping for.
As you can see, a little bit of movement on the cosh there as well. So it will be up to Michael to point one in and get the opposition to get back onto the piste. Nicely in front.
Craig Stewart, the man in the hat, is the shooter in this team. He's won the South Australian Shooting Championship a number of times and can certainly be deadly on his day.
The question is this his day? There we go.
That was a spark that sat glowing in the gravel then. Sky descending, the lights well and truly required.
Some very long days of petanque, but some magnificent play also. Just like that. Lovely point in by Michael.
Relaxed, almost casual. It has become a monumental weekend, the Easter Championships.
Another great shot by Craig.
There was a period of time when the only competition was triples. Now, of course, singles, doubles, and triples.
And that's a lovely first point in by Eric. Again, that tiny bit of movement on the kosh. And Nathan over the top. That's another strong point. Can't quite tell from this angle whether it has made it into contention.
Across the Petanque Federation of Australia, one of our broadcast sponsors, contributing greatly to the advancement of the game in Australia. Of course, organised the structure and put in a lot of effort, which is not always appreciated by the players, but somebody has to do it. So we thank them.
And just 1 point on the board after that first end.
Stretching after a long weekend of petanque.
Nice ball in front.
Having a look from the circle. Craig Stewart steps into the ring to shoot.
And hits.
Nice on the full. Fairly high arc.
Yeah, it's a very relaxed style. Nice smooth arm. Just the ball just seems to float off his fingertips.
That's not a bad ball. It is in front.
Little shake of the head from Nathan, though. I think he would have liked it to have another roll or two.
There's definitely enough room for a player of Michael's quality to get in.
And he does so.
That's a fantastic shot.
Great shot.
Good aggression from the South Australian pairing. They've now got 2 on the ground.
Oh, that's a beautiful ball in.
Again, that very relaxed style, almost casual.
And that's his first miss, I think, isn't it?
I think so. Be disappointed. 2 good hits, a possibility for 3 on the ground.
I'm guessing they'll be aiming to get some defence in at this point. That one going a bit wide. Nathan taking a moment to rethink, reset. It's a good line down the centre.
With 3 balls in the hand. And they are in the hand of Eric Leconte, who's one of the best players and has been one of the best players in Australia for a number of years. I think he'd fancy his chances of adding to the score here.
He'll be hoping for maximum damage. Just short.
Just checking to be certain. Can certainly afford, if the ball is a bit short, to use a bit of altitude on his next ball. Try and land close to the ball in front and move it in. But relatively safe position. There's nothing behind the jack that could be a problem.
And they're close enough that they're calling in the umpire, so professional measure coming up.
The umpire opts not to use his cloth. I think the signal was that there was only 1 point on the ground. It's eminently pushable.
line up the front there. Hard to tell from this angle what's on.
That's
But
what he
that'll
was
help.
looking for. Not only did the ball get pushed, I suspect the pushing ball followed it up, and it could be 3.
Looks like there's a little bit of negotiation over how many points this end has gained.
Typically in finals, the umpire is asked to do all of the measuring, but on that occasion, that was players opted to measure themselves. One of our broadcast sponsors is, of course, Hip Pocket Workwear and Safety, and they always measure up well.
That was another 2 points on the board for Michael and Eric. So now leading 0-3, 3-0.
Nathan James pacing it out. Definitely room for him to get in.
Nice high loop on that ball, and it comes in nicely.
Just discussing whether Eric should shoot. The target ball is in line with the blue lighter blue team's shirt, but no, he's going to take the early opportunity.
And that's a great shot. Ball stays. Little knock on the cosh. And it's back to Nathan and Craig.
Craig opting for an aggressive move. The ball is behind. There is a reasonable amount of space, but he's feeling confident that he can.
Over the top.
Really went to be right on the ball, high loop. You could see that what he really wanted there was not just a hit. He really wanted to carro on that ball, and just pushed it a little bit long.
So now it'll be up to Nathan to try and roll one down in front. That's looking good, but is it enough?
Looks a bit short.
That's looking good. Yeah, that's a great ball.
Takes the point, but also puts his ball in a position that, should the opposition choose to shoot, it could also cause their own ball to be knocked out. So it's a good defensive ball, but at the same time taking the point in an attacking sense. And Michael Lacaz opting to point.
That's definitely not what he would have been looking for.
Eric LeConte looking slightly nonplussed there as to what happened. It's not a bad ball either.
That's a good result.
2 points. Two balls each in the hand.
Umpire standing by, but these guys are doing all their own work. That shot didn't quite work out for them.
So now he has the point. And he'll be a bit disappointed with that effort. And Eric LeConte has an opportunity to add to the score of 3 points as it stands. And they could now open up a substantial lead should he get these balls in.
That's a good ball.
Excellent.
Just remains to be seen if he can repeat that.
answer is no.
Not on this occasion.
Still, that was a good scoring end for the Victorians.
Eric and Michael adding another 2 to their score. Score at 0-5. And Nathan and Craig with a reasonably open field to start with.
In any final, it's always good to get your first point. And at 5-0, I'm sure that Craig and Nathan would love to do it on this end. Nathan turns away, disappointed.
It's amazing how often that happens. There's one ball not necessarily in your way, and your ball seems magnetised by it. He'll shrug it off and give it another try.
And makes a suitable and successful adjustment and comes up with a nice ball that represents a tempting target for Eric LeConte.
Drops short, goes wide. Michael encouraging him to go back and try again. And there we have it.
He shoots very soft, Eric LeConte. It's almost like a point. And on that occasion, landing just in front, the ball staying low and pushing out the target.
And Nathan putting it back.
Quick fist bump from the South Australians.
Another nice shot, although it doesn't clear it quite as much as the previous one.
So again, a very soft, highish lob. Very effective on some grounds.
Oh, that's a nice point in.
took a definite deviation towards the end.
It's quite difficult at night to see the undulations in that surface. But they're definitely there, and I think that ball gives us a little hint as to what's happening there. But he doesn't make the same mistake twice.
That's a much better ball. So Michael Lacasse will be up to shoot. He does.
Misses.
Just misses. So, two Eastern Suburbs players from South Australia look set to score their first point. And Craig, I was about to say, could make it two, but he did not.
They'll be pleased that they're on the board. That brings the score to 1-5.
One of our broadcast sponsors for today, Clever Wombat, video, streaming, drones and editing. They're the team responsible for these fantastic videos from last year and of course this year and hopefully next year. So Nathan James throws out the jack very close to the string, which of course does not play a part in the game. It is not a border, but it can be an interesting obstacle. And as you saw there, just toward the end of that ball, it did hit the string and it did follow it just for a few inches.
Michael Lacasse coming in. See if he can do better. Which he does.
That's a good ball. And instantly Craig heads to the circle.
There's no discussion. No discussion
None
on what
at
to do
all.
with this one. Oh, just misses over the top. You can see the indentation of the landing point. Craig showing Nathan where he wants him to leave his ball, right in front. Beautifully down the line there.
Almost exactly on the spot. Possibly not enough to take the point.
Nonetheless,
Certainly
a good ball.
An opportunity for Craig to shoot with the possibility of a good haul of points.
Instead, Nathan heading back to the circle. Doesn't quite manage to sneak in or knock forward, which is, I suspect, what he was trying to do there.
There's always an element of risk-reward there. Had Craig opted to shoot that ball, there's the possibility of turning it into 2. And I was a little bit surprised that he opted not to do that, because the ball in front is a very good one.
And that looks like almost a rerun.
Yes. I suspect they were both trying to push their own ball in. And that's always a risky play. You either get it or you go past it. You can't be short, otherwise you achieve nothing. And so the inclination is to go long.
Oh, and that was unfortunate. Knocked in rather than out.
Yeah.
1 centimetre to the right, and it would have been on the money.
So straight away, Eric LeConte.
Got a lot of balls in hand.
Achieves the objective of hitting the ball out, creating some space for extra points. Just a little bit unlucky that the jack moved. And now he has to do it again.
Which he does.
So by the looks of things, they've regained the initiative, and the opportunity is there again to score points. 3 balls in the hand. It looks like 1 on the ground.
That looks like a good ball.
2. Michael Lacaze, one of the most successful players in Australia over a good 20-year period. Goes a little bit long.
Found the line, but just went past. Can Eric bring an extra point? That looks like a yes.
And that makes it 8-1. We've seen in previous years that a big lead can be nibbled away, but when one team gets to 8 points, potentially they could then finish the game on the very next end if they can score 5 points. So the team that is trailing at that time really has to be careful.
That's a great ball to start with. That'll really put the pressure on. It's really what you want from an opening point.
Absolutely.
Lovely shot.
That's a great response.
Both balls out of shot. A little bit hard to see what they're measuring.
Clearly it's close enough. The umpire's called in.
a long measure by the look of that one.
The lateness of the hour is a bit unfortunate in some respects. There's not a huge gallery of spectators for this game.
It looks like that ball stayed in close enough to push the boys in light blue to play.
I don't think they'll be too upset by that. When balls are that far apart, it's always nice, in fact, to get the next opportunity to put it close to the jack, put the pressure back on, rather than vice versa. So, not a bad outcome in some respects. And that's a good ball. Craig Stewart taking the aggressive option.
Worked for him last time. And again.
Removes the target ball and takes the point. Plenty of room though for Michael Lacaze.
Pops it back in neatly. Although I'm sure he would have preferred it in front rather than behind.
Possibly worth a shot, even though it's behind. They do have the second ball. They could convert this to 2 points.
That's a nice point here.
Now, of course, Eric Leconte has the opportunity to convert the situation into 2 points for his team. And unluckily for Eric, his bounce is just a tad short and just tops the ball as on the rise, and it manages to stay in place.
Did a little rock back, rock forward. See a little bit of thought there as to what the next move should be.
Knowing Eric, I think he'll be keen to have a shot.
Perhaps not.
And indeed, he chooses the opposite to what I predicted.
Oh,
Great
look
ball.
at that. What a great point.
the situation now being that if Craig hits the target ball, the jack is likely to go to the opposition ball anyway.
Just veers off to the left. Manages to find that gap between the two ball. I think they're giving some consideration as to where the kosh might go, whether it is worth another shot.
Definitely a risky proposition. If he shoots, drops a bit short, and just gives that target ball a bit of a nudge, that would very easily be 2 points. That could bring the score to 10-1.
That'd be why he's choosing to point. And just misses. That's a good ball.
That makes it very difficult for Eric LeConte because he can't be short if he wants to get another point. And he does run the risk of pushing that his own ball and nudging the jack back as well. So,
and the shot's gone also.
Yeah.
Which is no doubt what they're discussing right now.
If it was me, I think I'd take the point.
It'd be very tempting. Maybe a gentle point onto one of the outside balls. Try your luck.
Clearly they'd love to get an extra point. That is really would be ramping up the pressure. Let's see what he does.
Goes for the outside. Unfortunately, a little too far out.
Yes.
But
so another
safe.
point.
So that takes the score to 1-9.
We'd like to thank one of our broadcast sponsor, Hip Pocket Workwear and Safety. They've been a great supporter of our game here in South Australia. Suppliers of club outfits to a number of the clubs down here.
So Michael and Eric looking strong so far in this game. Although it is one of those games where the score does not reflect the level of play.
Now there's been some fine margins that have led to points being scored.
And that's a good ball to start with.
After last year's competition, Craig Stewart did mention that the interstate players have the opportunity to play in high stakes competitions that perhaps prepares them better than the South Australians. It's not necessarily desirable, but certainly in the interstate competitions, there are a number that have very big prize money, and needless to say, are taken very, very seriously. It's not something that is at all in the South Australian game, and he felt that it put South Australians at a slight disadvantage, just not used to the same sort of pressure.
Nathan just coming in on the outside with that second ball.
Now it looks like it's gone a little bit long. Craig Stewart feels it's close enough to warrant a measure.
Looks like you're right, a little bit long.
It's a very wayward ball. Clearly didn't get the bounce he was expecting. And this is really ramping up the pressure. 9-1 down and a 3-ball advantage for the opposition. It's a difficult situation to be in. But that's a good ball.
That should take at least one ball.
Eric LeConte blows into his hands, but that's something that he does on cold nights and warm days as well. I think it's more just a habit than a necessity. And that's a
Nice
fine
shot.
shot.
Lovely arc on that ball.
So Craig Stewart, his team's final ball, knows that his opponent could win on this end. He desperately needs a very, very good ball. That slight pause, disappointment, and opportunity knocks now for the Victorians to finish this game. So Giselle, do you think they will finish on this end?
Oh, it's so hard to say. There's so much pressure at this point in the game. Well, if that's anything to go by, they've got a good chance.
So that's 2 on the ground.
Or is it?
Or is it? Eric LeConte just checking. I think the signal was for 2.
At least 2, possibly 3.
Well, the South Australians will be desperately hoping it isn't 3, because that means 1 more point is required and there are 3 balls to do it.
I was not expecting that. Has he stayed close enough? No.
That was an interesting shot to take. So 2 balls to come from Michael Lacaze.
That's looking good.
And it's all over.
That's it.
A fantastic win. Eric Leconte overcome with emotion. Very pleased indeed. And the South Australian guys never really got into the game. They'll be disappointed, but they made it all the way to the final. And there's some very good players on the sidelines watching this game, so I think they'll be pleased.
And we have to say well done to everyone who's played in these competitions over the weekend. It's a massive effort and it's been a fantastic weekend.